Did the divine right of kings clash with church power? Imagine a time when kings claimed they ruled directly from God and no one could tell them otherwise. That idea is called the divine right of kings, and it played a big role in early modern Europe. But it did not always sit well with the church, which had its own authority. The relationship between monarchs and the church was complicated and often tense. In medieval Europe, the church was the ultimate authority in many spiritual and political matters. Kings needed the church's approval to legitimize their rule. The pope could excommunicate a king, which meant the king was cut off from the church and its sacraments. This was a serious threat because it could turn the king's own people against him. One famous example is the Investiture Controversy in the 11th century. The Holy Roman Emperor Heinrich IV and Pope Gregory VII fought over who had the power to appoint bishops. The conflict lasted 4 decades and ended with a compromise called the Concordat of Worms. This agreement allowed the Pope to appoint bishops but required them to swear allegiance to the emperor. Then came the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century. Religious reformers rejected the authority of the Pope and the Catholic Church. This shifted power away from the Church and gave kings more control. Henry VIII of England is a prime example. He broke away from the Catholic Church and made himself the head of the Church of England. His famous phrase was, "God and my right," which meant he believed his authority came directly from God. The Reformation made kings more independent of the Church's influence. As the idea of absolutism grew stronger, monarchs claimed they ruled by divine right. They believed their authority was given by God and only God could judge them. James I of England and Louis XIV of France were big supporters of this idea. They argued that no earthly power, including the Church, could limit their authority. This created a direct clash because the Church had once been a check on kings' power. Now, kings said they answered only to God. This led to many conflicts and even wars. Religious persecution was common because monarchs wanted everyone to follow the official state religion. Charles I of England, who believed in divine right, tried to enforce strict religious rules. This angered many people and led to the English Civil War. The king was eventually executed because he was seen as a tyrant who ignored the will of the people and the church. The clash between the divine right of kings and church power was not just about authority. It also had practical effects. Monarchs could decide what religion people followed and punish those who disagreed. This often led to violence and suffering. Over time, the power of the church was reduced, especially after the Glorious Revolution in England in 1689. Parliament gained more control, and the idea that kings ruled by divine right lost its grip. The conflict was not fully resolved but shifted towards secular government. So, in the end, the divine right of kings did clash with church power, especially during the age of absolutism. It was a struggle over who had the true authority to rule and interpret God's will.